How do the New Orleans Pelicans match up against the Eastern Conference? Let's find out right now on Pelican Scoop. What is up? Y'all see me. Y'all see me. What's going on, everybody? It's another episode of the Pelican Scoop. I am your host with the most on this Tuesday morning, Jordan Kitchens. And today, everybody, you already know, hit that like button, subscribe. No, don't just hit the like button. Smash the like button, comment, let me know. Come talk to me. If you rock with me, I'm rocking with you. And today, as the last episode y'all seen, would have been Thursday or Friday. We got into me and Taylor, we got into the Western Conference and how, we think the New Orleans Pelicans would stack up, how we're just ranking the Western Conference from top to bottom. From 1 to 10, we're going to give you the Western Conference. Now, Eastern Conference, we're not going to do that. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because what does that even, it doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with us. But we do have to play in the conference. We do have to play games in the conference. Yes, Western Conference games are more important, but you still got to play some Eastern Conference games. And at certain points in the NBA season, every game matters. It does not matter if it's in a conference games probably mean a little bit more, but you still lose a gimme, in the Eastern Conference, it's still going to affect your record. So how I'm going to do this, since we're not going to rank, the best teams of the East, I just want to get a sample size a little bit of like, how do the Pelicans usually match up against the East? So we're just going to take from last year because that's the best year to take. We're not going to sit there and do a whole deep dive of years, right? Because different teams, different coaches. So we'll take last year's team, the 2023-2024 season, and we're going to match that up and see which teams that the Pelicans, come up against, they play a little bit well against, and which teams in the East that it's always a dogfight. And there's a couple teams, it's the research I've done, this extensive research I've done. I ain't going to say it's a little surprising, but I'm going to just let y'all see. So in 2023 to 2024 season, the New Orleans Pelicans went 19-11 in the Eastern Conference, right? So above 500 record. Really good record, man. 19-11, like that's a positive record. The East didn't really beat you down, but there's a couple games in there where they probably could have had under 10 losses, and they probably should have had under 10 losses, but 20 wins. So obviously in the West, you play everybody. You can play everybody multiple times. In the East, you really don't play everybody. Sometimes you might play a team a couple more times. Like you're not seeing everybody out the East. So a couple little stats that I ain't gonna say I'm cherry picking, but I'm just breaking it down to y'all. Stay with me. So the New York Knicks, when the Pelicans played the Knicks, they went 2-0 last year, right? They went 2-0 against the 76ers. These are just notables. But they went 0-2 against the Chicago Bulls, right? So you play great against two playoff teams. Like they play outstanding against two playoff teams. Honestly, I think the Knicks thing with Zion a little bit, how, the draft, everybody was saying Zion would go to the Knicks and all that. I kind of feel like, because he always does play up when we play the Knicks, like he always does come through. And Philly, I can't really even explain Philly. I can't explain Philly because it's like, I feel like they just never, Philly never really brings it against us. Like, maybe recent history, Philly's like okay. Like, they don't really come up. They're not really a team that you're fearing out the East. I don't really fear Philly. Yes, they have Embiid. They have Maxey. Now they got Paul George, who I really don't fear. You know how Herb Jones do Paul George. He put that boy in that straitjacket. So, really looking at it, I can't. It's weird. The Pelicans are just such a weird team. So the 0-2 against the Bulls. I get it. They went 0-1 against the Celtics. Yes, the NBA champions. So we're not gonna knock that. But they went 0-1 against the Heat, 0-1 against the Magic, 0-1 against the Bucks, right? And the reason why those games, I'm singling out those games, and they went 1-1 against the Cavs because out of those games, those are some of their worst losses, like terrible losses. The Cavs game, when the Cavs came to in the blender, I was at that game with my boy Devin, and the Cavs beat us 116-95, and I was just like, from the opening tip, they was flat. They'll try to have like these fake little runs, but Garland and Mitchell was just not having it that night. They would just come in and just started splashing whenever he even got a little close. So the Cavs game, I really can't explain that. The Magic game at the end of the season, the last team we played out the Eastern Conference, we got dominated that game. Like the final score might not say it, 121-106. It might not really say it, but I remember that game vividly. Like and it really shows you. So the Magic game we lost bad, the Heat game we lost bad. We didn't put up 100 points against the Heat. We put up 95 points. We didn't put up 95 points against the Cavs too. Keep that in mind. And the Milwaukee Bucks, they just blew the doors off us. Giannis, it was just a problem. They blew the doors off us. I mean, we had a real bad loss against the Pacers. If y'all remember that game where they came in late, it was gonna have a back-to-back with the Pacers, so they came in like the plane got stuck or something at the airport, so they came in mad late and they was just flat from the beginning. That Pacers game, but the reason why I'm not counting that because they came back a couple nights later and just bust them up in the blender. So not really gonna count the Pacers, but these bad losses out of the Eastern teams, the Cavs, the Magic, the Heat, the Bucks. What do all four of those teams really have in common? I'll give you a second. They're front courts. They're long. They're all defensive-minded teams. So the Cavs, you have Evan Mobley did not play this game. He was actually hurt. But Jared Allen, you had your Jared Allen, but usually Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. Defensive-minded, like bigger, longer front courts. The Pelicans, we really do not play. The Pelicans do not play as well against those type of teams. Orlando Magic, Paolo and Jonathan Isaac and Franz Wagner and Wendell Carter Jr. Like they just have bodies. And Jalen Suggs was a menace that game. Jalen Suggs is a menace. He's a very underrated player. I don't think he's going to be underrated because he just made, I think, second team all-defensive team this year. Ooh, that is my phone. Jalen Suggs made all-defensive second team. He just made one of the all-defensive teams this year. So he's a very underrated player. So the Magic, they gave it to us from the start. Like they're a very defensive-minded team and, like I said, taller front court. The Miami Heat, we don't have to really explain the Miami Heat defensively. Like that's just the culture. Like we already understand like how they are. That was just a hard-fought game. Also, it's hard to play Miami. Okay, I get it. Like they're human. They probably went out the night before. So sometimes the Miami games you can take with a grain of salt. They only go to Miami once a year. So when you see a Miami game come out flat, you kind of get it. Like I get it. I mean, we don't have no James. Maybe we do have some James Harden, but I know Zion like to enjoy himself. We know Zion like to enjoy himself. So, come out flat against Miami. It ain't the end of the world. And then the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, Giannis. I love Giannis' game when I'm not playing against him. I love to watch Giannis do all that against other teams, but when he's doing it against your team, oh my goodness, it is terrible. Like, you just like you literally cannot stop him when he wants to just go coast to coast and just truck everybody and just dunk it from the free throw line. It's like, well, what can we do? And then you got Brook Lopez roaming around the goal, he blocking everything, Giannis blocking everything. So the Bucks, they're hard out, but all those teams really have in mind like they're a defensive-minded front court, they're defensive-minded teams, and those type of teams really do give the Pelicans blues and. I hate to say it, but it's kind of like how the Lakers play a little bit. I get it. They're not like how the 2020 Lakers, the bubble Lakers, like they're not like those Lakers no more. But Anthony Davis, I get it. He's playing against his older team. Man, he brings it. He brings it every time. Every time. Every time Anthony Davis is a problem when the Lakers and the Pelicans play. Yes, they have LeBron, so that's a problem too because it's LeBron. The LeBron effect, he's just going to be LeBron. But Anthony Davis, those type of big men, it's just really hard. It's really hard for the Pelicans to adjust. I'm not going to necessarily say it's an adjustment thing. It's more like a personnel thing. Like the Pelicans don't really have a dominant. I mean, come on, y'all know how I feel about big men. It's like it's like a broken clock twice a day. Like I keep harping on this big man thing, and truthfully, we're gonna look back at this. We're going to look back at all these videos before the season even starts and just be looking like, what am I talking about? But then also at the same time, we can look back at these videos and be like, man, he was preaching about this. I look like I'm blending in with but like he was preaching about this for so long. The one thing to keep in mind, yes, I'm not going to sit here and harp on the negatives, but the Pelicans played that, so that they lost to the eventual NBA champions, the Boston Celtics, but They played the game close. They played them close. So it really might be more of a mentality thing more than personnel. And it's all about the mentality that this team is going to have and this mentality that this team's going to come out with this year, because we're mentally tough. The Pelicans are not a weak-minded team. They're mentally tough now. We didn't all seen them have comeback victories and, you know, victories with the refs making bad calls and they still find a way to win like that. All those are just characteristics of having a great team is being mentally tough and adversity strikes. So it's really about how this team is going to be mentally wise. That's all about the leaders like your DeJounte Murrays and your Zion Williamsons and C.J. McCollums and Brandon Ingrams, just to keep the core together, you know, weather the storm. So it could be just a mentality thing about them. Like, when they come out, these guys are not going to dominate us in the paint. They're not going to dominate. They're not going to sit there and make us take shots that we don't want to take. Like, we're not going to bail them out. Brandon Ingram, we're not going to bail them out with taking long contested twos. Maybe take a three-pointer every now and then. You know, we would love that. So this might be just more of a mentality thing. Because you're 2-0 against Philly. You're 2-0 against the Knicks. The Knicks are hard out. The Knicks are going to look a lot different next year. This season coming up, they're going to look way different. So this 2-0 against this Knicks team is going to be a lot different. You know, Jalen Brunson another year. They got Mikal Bridges now. They really got the whole Villanova team. So with Anunoby bringing him back. So the Knicks are going to be a hard out. That's a real game that it's going to be interesting. Matter of fact, I guess I'll do that. Eastern Conference teams that I'm looking forward to playing would definitely be the Knicks, number one. Right? I think the Knicks are going to have I'm not going to say a finals run, but I think the Knicks they're going to be a deep playoff team. So definitely I want to see us against the Knicks. I definitely want to see the New Orleans Pelicans against the Knicks. Of course, the Celtics, because they're the cream of the crop. To be the man, you got to beat the man. So you want to see your team against the best. So definitely the Celtics. And the Magic. The reason I didn't make that a video, why the New Orleans Pelicans and Orlando Magic are kind of on the same crash course. They're kind of on the same type of timeline. I'll say that. They're kind of on the same type of timeline. You know, they had their number one pick from Duke, Paolo Banchero. We have our number one pick from Duke, Zion Williamson. Similar players. They're going to be rivals. I'm telling y'all now, they're going to be rivals for time to come. They're going to keep putting those two together. They're young. I mean, they don't have as many veterans as the Pelicans do, but like they're still on the same type of timeline. They're a young team that's trying to really break through and make a name for themselves. So I definitely want to see the Pelicans against the Magic. So those are really just how the Pelicans match out against the East. You know, certain Eastern Conference teams, little tendencies that I felt like are interesting. Like we was 1-1 against the Hawks. I don't really think much of the Atlanta Hawks, but those are always close, contested games when we play them. So it's really just about mentality thing, like I said. Really about a mentality thing, and all you can really do is time will tell of how all this will play out. Will this team have the right mentality? I think so. I believe so. All in all, man, thank you guys for staying for another episode of the Pelican Scoop. Like I said, hit that bell notification so you can be notified. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Jordan_Kitchens. And y'all have a blessed day. If you rock with me, I'm rocking with you. And I'm signing out. Peace.